In this video, we demonstrate the removal of a lumen apposing metal stent post EUS guided gallbladder drainage. Our goal of this video is to demonstrate the key concepts within the drainage of gallbladders and removal of these lumen apposing stents. EUS guided gallbladder drainage continues to increase in utilization. There's still a lot of research that remains to be performed. Lumen opposing metal stents facilitate the creation of internal ostomies connecting two organs together without open incisions. This has opened a world of interventional endoscopy possibilities throughout the GI tract. Here in this video, we show an 85-year-old male who previously had an endoscopic ultrasound-guided drainage of the gallbladder through connection of the gallbladder to the duodenal bulb. He was deemed not a surgical candidate and part of a research trial. 6 weeks later, he comes back for removal of the lumen opposing stent. He originally had a large amount of cholecystitis or gallbladder stones within the gallbladder. The key educational concepts reviewed in this video, number one is removal of the LAMS. This can be done with a rat tooth forceps. We've also used snares in the past. We feel the rat tooth forceps gets a firm grasp of the interstices of the stent. We grasp the stent firmly and pull it, watching out for the gastroesophageal junction and upper esophageal sphincter. Additionally, it's important to note that the ostomy can then be accessed for further interventions, which include mechanical or EHL shockwave lithotripsy of stones. And then finally, it's important to note what the inner mucosa of the gallbladder looks like, which we'll visualize in this video. Here you see the utilization of a disposable rat tooth forceps. These forceps are different than biopsy forceps. There's no internal middle spike. The rat tooth allows for a better grasping of the interstices of the stent, and then you feel a gentle traction as the stent pops out through the ostomy. Here you see the stent being pulled through the lower esophageal sphincter and the upper esophageal sphincter. This particular stent was a 10 by 15 millimeter device. Now we're going back down and taking a look at the area of the ostomy. The ostomy here may have a small amount of very limited control bleeding as you pull the stent through. That's nothing of major concern. Now we've entered the ostomy. As I stated before, the second major concept is you can enter that ostomy tract. It's much more about the ostomy tract being formed and created than the stent itself, as we remind our surgical colleagues. Here you're seeing the inner lining of the gallbladder. So we're essentially scoping the inside of the gallbladder. You can see the opening to the cystic duct in this location. And then additionally, what's interesting, this is a gallbladder polyp, and here's another one that you're seeing visualized. You could remove these polyps if you needed to do so. These are very minimal and diminutive in size and had no indication for removal. This particular patient had previously a significant amount of cholecystitis or stone burden. All of those stones were able to transition to that 15 millimeter diameter orifice that we created with the lumen opposing metal stent. This ostomy stays intact. What's interesting is we don't know exactly how long the ostomy will stay intact and what happens in terms of long-term scenarios for these ostomies, and they may vary between placing the LAMS through the duodenum or through the stomach. That's further research that needs to be done. So key concepts with the removal of a lumen opposing stent that was placed for biliary drainage. Number one, the utilization of the appropriate device with gentle traction, feeling that device and that sensation of the pull as the other portion of the lumen opposing stent gets pulled through the ostomy tract, and being cognizant of the lower esophageal and upper esophageal sphincter as areas of narrowing to avoid mucosal damage, and then being able to access that ostomy to perform further intervention. And finally, being able to understand what the inner lining of the gallbladder, its mucosa, truly looks like. Endoscopic ultrasound is a highly leveraged platform that allows us to provide a variety of interventions. Now with the advent of lumen opposing metal stents, we're able to create internal ostomies connecting two organs together. There's quite a bit of research that remains to be done to find out what the long-term effects of these types of interventions are and their clinical implications.